Hello? Yeah. I'm taking a deep breath. Usually I'm very confident on stage. I just come, do my thing, rarely prepare because it comes naturally to me. But today I don't know why I'm nervous. Maybe because you are a big deal for me.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I think you have a lot of stage powers, so it will be very easy for you to guide this conversation.
Thank you so much, sir. So let me begin with a story, a short story of how I came across Ikigai. First of all, I would like to thank Jain University and the Summit of Future for giving me an opportunity to be seated alongside a super dignitary like you. I feel proud today to be on stage and feel privileged, in fact. So as you noticed, I am an entrepreneur and a social worker. Along with that, I'm also a corporate trainer. I do trainings for Fortune 500 companies, senior management team, etc. And it's always a struggle to find what content suits the training sessions, right? And I remember a friend telling me, even if your trainings are very specific, there are certain general things that anybody and everybody would benefit from. And that's how she introduced me to the concept of Ikigai. She said, you just read this book once. So I read the book with the purpose of getting something which will be a content for the training, but I ended up getting immersed into it so much that I ended up realizing my purpose in life. I did the activity and I came across what does it mean to have a purpose in life. So that's how I know about Ikigai. So today I will start with my first question to you. Can you elaborate on the core principles of Ikigai and how does it differ from other concepts of finding purpose and meaning in life? Like today people everywhere on social media use the word purpose, you should have a purpose for living, do this, do that, and there are various techniques. But how does Ikigai differ?
Yes, thank you very much for this presentation. Thank you to the Jain University for this opportunity to share about purpose. I think there are different expressions of the same human need. As Viktor Frankl said, man in search of a meaning. The human being needs to find a meaning and a purpose in life, and it has been done from different points of view. Logotherapy, that's what Viktor Frankl did. It's a therapeutical system for people who are depressed, anxious, lost, because they have a void in their lives. Ikigai is not a therapeutical tool, it's more a professional tool. And actually, the first thing we did with Hector Garcia when we were preparing the book was to work on the 4 circles of Ikigai. These 4 circles, that after that we can make a little exercise to see how they work. So the goal of this is to know what can be your professional mission, or at least what can be your contribution to the world. And that's what makes Ikigai unique. Then, another derivations, Simon Sinek, he has the golden circle. That's something for companies. And in his book, Start With Why, he says there are 3 levels of companies. The basic one is the companies which work with what. And you say, what I do is to make computers. Okay, you're explaining what. Second level is when you know how. We are doing computers, but with these standards of quality, with these characteristics, etc. But the most powerful companies are the ones who have a why. We work on this because we have this philosophy, this purpose, we want this for the world, etc. So all these examples that we are putting have to do with the life purpose. It can be individual, it can be corporate, it can be therapeutical. But Ikigai and the book, how it's written, is something individual. It's something that you think about your talents, you think about what you have to give to the world, and then you try to imagine a way, a purpose to give your contribution to society and to give your legacy.
Wonderful. When did you think about writing about Ikigai? And of course, you imagine that you have to spread this word across the world. So somewhere you are also thinking about making an impact, right? Was that your purpose?
Actually, there is a lot of chance in these issues. I was publisher before being a writer, and I know that you cannot build a success in any artistic field. So, because there is something that you cannot control, and that is the future. If you were writing your first book today, and you say, Francesc, I am writing a novel, then what happens? That maybe this book is finished in 1 year, and maybe the book finds an editor 2-3 months after. And in 2027, then your book is in the bookstores. Who knows how the world will be in 2 years? It's everything changing so quickly that we cannot control it. So when we were writing this, we didn't know that Ikigai would be a world trend. What we did was, we are friends. Hector Garcia lives in Tokyo since 20 years. He's married to a woman of Okinawa. I live in Barcelona, Spain. And through a common friend, we started traveling and having some meetings by Zoom. And one day he said, why don't we go to Okinawa? Because my father-in-law says that there is a little village in the north that is in the Guinness Book of Records as the place with more longevity, the place with the highest number of centenarians in the world. And that was the beginning. And we started interviewing the centenarians and explaining about the way they live. And then we came deeper in the concept of Ikigai. And when the book was published in Spain, it was a small middle publisher. In 1 month, it had already 10 translations. And in 1 year, it was published in the United States. Oprah Winfrey put it as Book of the Week, and then it began to spread.
Right. Just so that the audience, I'm sure many of you have seen this, right? Wherever you go, literally anywhere and everywhere you go, you see this. It's a beautiful...
The cover is very famous.
Yeah, it's very famous. So, so far I was talking about the concept itself, and you touched on the writing part, right? So how did you think of something that would be relevant even today? Like, even today people are having that kind of excitement to read Ikigai when referred by somebody else. So it's relevant throughout. So how did you come up for, as an advice for new authors or writers? They may have writer's block, but what would you advise in terms of thinking about a topic that could be relevant even in the future? Because we are talking about the future today.
Yes. And they know, all the students and teachers and professors who are here, that we cannot control the future, but we can shape the future. That's the difference. I would say, I would transmit a tip of advice of Toni Morrison, the Afro-American writer. She said, if you go to the bookstore or you look by Amazon or anywhere, and you see that there is a book that you would love to read, and this book doesn't exist, then you will have to write it. So primarily, the writers write about a topic that you would love to read, and it doesn't exist yet. So I would say that your drive must be to fill that hole, to think, following the fourth circle of Ikigai, what the world needs, then you say, okay, I think the world needs a new book about purpose and a new book with this point of view, and then you start writing it. But I always, when I have a workshop with young writers, I say, don't have expectations, because everything can happen. So maybe you write a book, and this book is for 100 people only, and it will be okay. If they are happy, you have made your contribution. Or maybe it's for 1 million, but you can only know when the book is finished, published, and the universe is giving you back the feedback of what the people was expecting.
Oh, that's nice. Since today's theme is also technology, what about the digital version of Ikigai? And do you think people still prefer reading the hard copy or?
It depends on your lifestyle. I can confess that I read always 3 books at the same time. There is one in paper that I keep it with me in this bag that I carry everywhere. I have a paper book just for enjoying, normally a novel, and I read it when I have half an hour. Then I have a Kindle also to read essays that I need for my writing or to write articles. But in my cell phone, in my iPhone, I have another book that is also Kindle for 5 minutes reading, 10 minutes reading, if I am waiting for the cab, if I am 5 minutes in front of a cafe. And there I have shortest readings like essays, but with short chapters so that I can go through. And so no matter if you read electronic book or if you read on paper, what is already known and is that if you read in the evening, if you read in bed, with paper, it will be easier for you to have a good sleep. Because even if what you have is a Kindle, this light stimulates the optical nerve of the eyes, and you are going to have more problems to sleep than if you take the paper, that is perfect for getting a deeper sleep after.
I agree. Yeah. All right. So one activity, like my opening statement was about my training experience that I do, and there is an activity that I try to make them do. What is popular about this book? Those circles, right? Yes. So we were talking back in the lounge, and you were saying that you'd like to ask me about
Yes.
those circles, so that our audience would get to know how actually to practice Ikigai.
Yes. Let's do a practical exercise. And I know that you have a strong Ikigai, but I will behave as if you didn't know it, or I don't know that you have it. And so we go through the 4 circles of Ikigai, okay? Then I will explain them, and you will answer me.
Sure.
The first circle is what you love. So the first question I have for you is, what is what you love doing more than anything else?
I think what I'm doing now, talking to the public, talking to the audience, talking to people. Basically, I'm an extrovert. I've realized that very early, and I cannot survive without talking to people. So that's one thing I love. I love strategizing. I love organizing. I love designing, any and every sort of designing. And I love to influence people or make a difference in people's lives.
That's a very interesting point and very useful.
Okay.
And very powerful. So if the people of the audience cannot answer clearly what I love, we have a clue for that. That is the flow. Flow is this concept developed by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, a Hungarian professor of Harvard, I think. And he said, when you are totally absorbed by an activity, when you are very happy doing something, when you are totally concentrated, this is a state of flow. And the flow is defined as that you lose your sense of time. So if you are talking to the audience or giving lessons or doing something that you love, maybe 1 hour you have the sensation that it was 1 minute. But if you don't love what you are doing, 1 hour, it can be like 10 hours. So if we know that we flow 100% with an activity because we love it, then it can mean that it's your Ikigai. So we have defined your first circle. You love talking, communicating, contributing. Second circle, what are you good at? Here would be that you identify 1 or 2 of your talents, your natural gifts.
Once again, talking.
That's good.
It
That's
can
good.
be
It's
same,
good.
right?
It's good.
Okay,
it's very good that it's the same thing.
So I think I am talented at training people, talking to any and everybody. That's what comes to my mind first. And then I'm good at strategizing. Yeah. Since you mentioned two, the top two that I can remember that I do on a daily basis are these two.
That's good because if you love talking and you are good at talking, then there is an intersection between the first two circles, then you have a passion. Then, here the quest is if you want to make a profession out of this, because then we would go to the third circle, that is the circle of money, what you can be paid of. So my question is, would you love to be a lecturer, somebody who goes to stages all around India, all around the world, a TED Talk, maybe author? Would you like to live from that?
Of course, I think I am currently living that. I am a global keynote speaker. I do speak on large platforms like Economic Times, United Nations, APEC, etc. I've done that, and I would do that any day again.
So then
I do get paid
you
for
have
that.
the three circles of Ikigai. And now let's see the fourth circle. The fourth circle of Ikigai is what the world needs. So do you feel that what you do through what you love and your talent, and that you can be paid for that, is good for the world? What is giving it to the world?
Maybe not every time that I speak before an audience is good, but still 90% of the time it does, because I am into the social sector, and that's why I speak on those platforms. So whenever I speak, it's all about the impact that the programs that I lead are making. So I feel the world needs compassion, empathy, support, guidance, mentorship, etc. And my efforts through the training programs or through leading large number of teams who do training programs are somehow, making an impact. So
you have a complete Ikigai of the four circles.
Oh, really?
This exercise, yes, totally. So
nice.
we have seen a very simple tool that is the four circles, what you love, what you are good at, what you can be paid for, and what the world needs. And you can do it at home. You take a piece of paper, a notebook, and you start, and you can write more than one thing. For instance, if I did it for myself, what you love, I can put, I love traveling, I love writing, I love music, I love education. What are you good at? I could put writing, simplifying difficult concepts. What can you be paid for? Maybe you can put 5, 6 things. Even if you have not experienced yet that it could be a business. And what the world needs, we could put different concepts also. Maybe the world needs kindness, better communication, more dialogue, etc. So these are the four circles of Ikigai.
Thank you so much for doing this practical. Have you done this before at any dais where the practically you've done this with someone?
Yes. This is the kind of exercise that we do with small groups in university, for instance. When you go with a group of 20 students that they must take a decision maybe for a specialization, or in high school, when they are the year before entering university. So they work with the four circles, and so they can imagine what can fit their talents and their passions better.
That's a good thought for the Jain students who are listening to this right now. Maybe university is the right time where you want to decide what you want to do in life and whether it is, matching with your passion, purpose, etc. So maybe this is the right time to do this exercise. So if you have not read the book, maybe you can read and find out, and Sir just explained exactly how. I have one more question before we get into the audience. How many times can you do this exercise? And over a period of time, based on your age, does your Ikigai change?
Yes. This is a very interesting question. Normally, it's good to do it once a year, because in 1 year, maybe you have discovered a new talent, or maybe it has happened something in the world, and you say, I think I can do something for that. Because now, for instance, imagine that you live in United States, in California, and this big fire in Los Angeles, and then maybe it brings you some new idea, that something that you can do there. So once a year would be okay. And we must consider Ikigai as something that normally changes with life. There was a German intellectual, Rudolf Steiner. He said that our life changes very deeply every 7 years. He was talking about septenniums. I don't know in English how he was telling that. Every 7 years, from 0 to 7 is the little kid. From 7 to 14 is already the teenager, the discovery of sexuality. From 14 to 21, there is a definition in the working world, etc. So if people change, then Ikigai changes. Because if I am in a new stage of my life that I need, for instance, more serenity, maybe I don't want to be a teacher of little children then. So it's normal that we can have 4, 5 Ikigais through life, and that we are very enthusiastic with one Ikigai, we lose the energy, or we think that maybe we have done everything we had to do there, and we need to start something different. But in the end, the background of the Ikigai is the same. There is an idea of service to the community. Maybe you are a therapist, and after 20 years, you don't want to see clients anymore, but you want to give formation to the new therapists. And then you want to write a book. But actually, what you want to do is to help avoid suffering. So in the end, it's the same, but you can find different ways so that your Ikigai stays alive.
Wow. I've always wanted to know this. Thank you so much. Since we are short of time, I would now proceed to the audience for questions to Sir. Yeah, please can we pass the mic there?
Hi, Francis. We stand in a platform, a digital platform, as Dr. Nezrin said. And being in a digital platform, there are a lot of distractions that comes to us often, because by using the social media platforms, I'm not naming any names, but by using that, the distraction itself become the flow, and we get addicted to it, and we are in a vicious circle of going after reel and video after video. So there are a number of distractions which later becomes the flow itself. So how a person like me, or how a person who is so immersed into the digital spectrum can come out of this visual circle and bring back our sense to the 3 basic principles, as Simon said: what, why, and how. So what is your point of view from the perspective of Ikigai?
About distraction, yes.
Yes.
It's a big problem right now, because here most of people is very young, but if you are over 50, life 40 years ago was totally different from now. Because I remember when I was a child, we had only 2 channels on TV, and you had 2 options. You saw The House in the Prairie and another thing. And we didn't have computers, we didn't have iPhones, and it was limited, the amount of information that we were receiving. And nowadays, we are in a stage of humankind that is called infoxication, that is intoxication through too much information. So, and this is a problem because we are trying to focus in important things, we are trying to flow, but there are so many things happening at the same time. For instance, you want to read a book, but your iPhone is sending messages all the time through the different social media, email, WhatsApp groups, etc. So we have lost the power of attention. And actually, there is an essay, I think it's quite new, 1-2 years, called Attention. And there is a study that for a young child, attention is a maximum of 3 minutes. But for an adult, maybe it's 15. So many people who are cultivated, who went to university, have real problems to read a book. So what to do in this situation? We must train again our power of attention, restricting many things. For instance, having a schedule for the connections that we do. This is actually in United States, there are many people who do what is called digital diet. And digital diet normally is that you know what time you're going to take the Wi-Fi off. For instance, 7 o'clock p.m., you take it out, and then you have your dinner in peace, you talk with your family, then you read a book or you watch a movie, no problem. And you go to bed without knowing what are they writing from the office, because it distracts you, and it's also a constant amount of adrenaline, of anxiety. Then you disconnect 3 hours before going to bed. And on the weekends, for instance, you can decide that Sunday until 5 p.m. you won't have any connection either. And then you can go to do Shinrin-yoku, that is forest bathing in English. It's a Japanese word, and without any connection. So if we do like this, we can have a balance, and we will recover the power of reading a book, listening to a conversation, being in nature, and we'll have many more good ideas.
Thank you for that question about information bombardment.
Thank you.
Thank you for the answer. Next question. Can you help her with the mic, please?
Hello, sir. So
Hello.
in your book, they mention about the longevity of people, and there are many factors to it, like the diet, the environment. Out of that, one is the community or a sense of collaboration. Being in a village where you have all of people around you, have a sense of being. While in the present, we are moving towards an individualistic society where everyone is confined within their own walls, their own, like remote, when we are having a remote working environment, you're totally by yourself. So what is your take on these two stark differences?
Yes, there is a part of the book that normally people don't mention so much that has to do with longevity. And the starting point of Ikigai, or Investigation Okinawa, the life purpose was not the main topic. We wanted to understand why these people could live so long. And as you said, there are 2, 3 main factors. One is nutrition. It has been tested. There are a lot of medical studies that we eat a little less of the hunger we have every day. The life expectancy can be 7, 8 years longer. But that's not where we put the center of our study. The social aspect is very important. Maybe you read last years that they finished a very long survey in Harvard about human happiness. They started in 1930, more or less, 1930, 1940, and they have been following thousands of people through their lives to understand what brings them happiness, what brings them welfare. And in the beginning of this 80 years investigation, the researchers thought that main point would be, I don't know, having money, being successful, to be healthy. Intuitively, we can think that health is the most important thing, because if you don't have health in the second half of your life, you cannot be very happy. It was not that either. Factor number 1 for happiness is social skills, social relationships. People who have a good relation with couple, with family, with the people who work with you, with your, I don't know, with your roommates, if you are sharing a flat. These are the happiest people in the world, because human being is very deeply attached to other people. So if these ties are not of high quality, you will feel always sad and out of place. And because of that, when we were studying why these people in Okinawa were living so long, one very important reason is that they have a social structure called moai. A moai is a circle of people who help each other. So if we are very interested in Japan and we live in Kochi, then we can have a moai of Japanese freaks, Japanese studies. And these 10 people help each other, and it's not only a place where we can celebrate a birthday or watch a movie together or have a conversation, but also helping other people's needs. And what we saw in Okinawa is that people going to a moai, they had even a little bank every circle, so that if somebody has an urgent need, they can take money from the group. For instance, that you have a house and a hurricane came and you lose part of the ceiling. You can pay that with the money of the moai and you will give it back. So what happens when you belong to a circle like this? It has two psychological benefits. One, that you don't feel alone. And actually aging and depression and anxiety and many mental issues have to do with unwanted solitude. If you are part of a group, you are not alone. You know that if you are in trouble, they are going to help you. So you feel protected as the ancient humankind. And second benefit is that you are responsible for the happiness of the others. So you have a mission, you have an Ikigai. You know that there are these people and every person has a different situation. Maybe one of them is under a difficult health condition. You take care of that person, and then you feel that you are useful and that you are connected. And this is main factor in Okinawa to run a happy life together with Ikigai, having a purpose in life. Thank you.
Wow, well said. We have time for one more question.
Can I? Internet says that you have been influenced by Indian thinkers, Jiddu Krishnamurti and Ramana Maharshi. When you speak about using Ikigai as a professional tool for individuals to find happiness, do you think, did you actually plan about, did you actually do your research on what would happen in another 5 years after you write the book?
No.
And whether the digitalization will impact that we will have to run behind happiness and search for it? And also, do you really think that we all are coming back to this Indian idea on life and lifestyle and happiness?
That's a very interesting question, a bit long to answer. Actually, when I started traveling out of Europe, the first place where I was India. I came here in 1999. The country was something very different of what you can see today. Maybe your parents can tell you how it was. It was another time and another situation of economy, of everything. And by that time, I was very interested in Indian spirituality. Modern thinkers, for that time, like Jiddu Krishnamurti, I was reading a lot of books of him because I thought that it was a very good training to know how to think. He's a man who didn't give answers, but he gave you many questions to think about. And for me, it was important for my education. Then I was reading Ramana Maharshi, I was reading about Buddhism, about other religions of India, and I was very interested since 1999. And Japan, I went quite later, and I have traveled like 10, 12 years to Japan. And then with Hector, we traveled to Okinawa to make some field camp, some anthropological study of this community. We wrote Ikigai, and it was a huge success. And then it came the pandemic, and that's the origin of the book for Purusharth. During the pandemic, Hector and me maybe we gave like 300 interviews to different collectives in India. Universities like here, schools, writing circles, entrepreneurs. And many people said, why don't you write something like Ikigai, but about the Indian wisdom? And this question was put to us maybe 30, 40 times. And because we had time then, we started preparing this book. And Hector took the part of reading more academical papers. He read all the books of Shashi Tharoor, for example, and many other things. And I was more trying to see how to explain something so complicated like 5,000 years of Indian wisdom in a little book, and so that everybody could understand it. Because when we write together, our philosophy is there are already very good scholars and very big authors to write a book of 500 pages about karma. But how can we explain it in 3-4 pages so that the hairdresser and the taxi driver can understand it too? And not in India, especially out of India. And that was the Ikigai, the mission we had with this book. And the result is this book that has three different titles depending on which place of the world. In Spain and other European languages, it's called Namaste. In United States and England is the Four-Way Path, and in India is the Four Purusharth. I hope I understood your question. Thank you.
Is that it?
Yes?
Yeah, all right.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much. Once again, I would like to mention that it was truly an honor to be seated alongside you and to have done that exercise with the author himself. Wow, where am I? All right. Thank you to the audience for the wonderful questions and to be present alongside us today.
Thank you very much. Thanks all of you for your attention. Thank you.
And to present a token of our appreciation and gratitude to Mr. Francesc Miralles, I'd like to bring on stage Dr. Krishnan NVH. He's the Director General and Chancellor's Advisory Board member with Jain University. He'll be presenting a memento to Mr. Francesc Miralles in the presence of Dr. Nezrin Midhilaj. It was a pleasure to have you at Jain University for the Summit of Future 2025.